I'm at the Florida Dive Show with Stan Waterman. Mr. Waterman, welcome to the Internet. We're going to be showcasing some of the people and the places that are here at this show, but we're talking about the water side a lot. You've been around the water side for a while, haven't you?
Yes, I'm considered to be an old geezer, and people ask, when did you start? And I look them in the eye and say, do you remember the Spanish-American War? And they, can you really be that old? Sometimes I feel that old.
Well, you've seen a lot of things underwater. Certainly the issue right now is that you're seeing fewer and fewer of certain things like sharks. Care to comment?
There are patent replies that I can make to that are almost banal today, like, for instance, 90% of the big pelagic life in the seas in the last 30 years has been reduced. 90% of that. Sharks are being very hard hit upon, especially for the finning industry, and this, of course, is so much in the news today with environmentalists. The addition of shark fin soup for a product that doesn't even taste good, but is so locked into the Oriental ethos that we can't stop it. A big criminal element is involved in it because there's big money. So, as a part of the Shark Research Institute, which is Princeton-based, where I live, we are focusing on that issue, sharks disappearing, sharks, the apex predator, of course, obviously an integral part of the whole marine eco chain, the food chain. When they go, the chain is so diminished that it is vitally impaired. And they go because they are slow reproducing. They have what's called low fecundity, reproduction. And consequently, when they're taken on long lines by the thousands, hundreds of thousands, they can't reproduce to keep up. So much for what we're trying to do in the Institute. We focus on whale sharks, and for $10 you can adopt a whale shark. And we keep track of it because our money goes to the tagging of whale sharks at field stations around the world to learn more about their behavior, to learn more about how we can establish them as an endangered species. For myself, my salad days as a cameraman were years ago when I was almost the only game in town, shot for the networks, shot for ABC, the American Sportsman Show, ESPN, and the young people who were my protégés back then, good friends today, but the young guard, Howard and Michelle Hall, and I could name Marty Snyder and others, are top-notch shooters, and I no longer compete. I write for 3 different journals, and I also earn my bread by hosting dive tours. If you've been in this long enough, you're called the pioneer. And while I sort of shuffle my feet and say, oh, go on, I have been at it from way, way back. The essays that I wrote for Ocean Realm all of those years are part of my book, which is called Sea Salt. And growing up in the Victorian era, near the sea, in the 30s, I write about and how the sea has that siren song that can reach out and hold you for the rest of your life. So I find that at 85, I'm reasonably fit. You know, I studied Shakespeare in college. I was an English major. And Hamlet said to Polonius, who was an old and doddering guy, he said, for old men have near eyes that purge thick amber and plum tree gums. Boy, which meant their sight was going bad. And he said, a plentiful lack of wit. Well, I've held on to the wit, but I'm losing vision a bit. My daughter, incidentally, puts these things on my eye patch so I'm not taken for a pirate. And I'm very hard of hearing. All divers who've been at it for decades should have hearing aids by the time they're done. I said they should have hearing aids.
Tell me, the book that you have, how would people get information about it? Is there a website?
It is on my website, stanwaterman.com. The publishers are New World Publications, and they can also get it directly from me. And if anybody reads this on...
It's going to be on a couple different sites. It'll be on YouTube and Scuba PR
I was
Wire.
going to ask you, I don't know what the YouTube is. I've never used it. I'm so...
We're going to introduce you to the new world of the Internet.
Anyway, they can get them from me, and I will sign them, mail them back, and email, of course, which I do know and use all the time, is stan@tellurian, TELLURIAN.com. And I will tell them exactly what it costs. It's $30 plus $5, $3 for mailing, and I will sign it the way they would like to have it signed if they'll let me know. And the book's done well. You know, there's an interesting early part to it. Growing up in the late 20s and 30s, I had a cruel German governess. And one time when I was about 5 years old, and she found me sitting on the pot playing with my weenie, she smacked me around the way governesses did them, and said if I ever did it again, a little guy would come out of the big laundry hamper we had in our bathroom. With scissors, he'd cut it off and sew it on the middle of my back where I couldn't reach it. Well, I write about this in the book. This is all part of growing up in the Victorian era. And I go on to say that after I'd reached puberty, I didn't know any better, and I took to chasing girls running backwards.
Stan Waterman, thank you very much for your time.
I could tell you more.
We'll be back.